Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for tuning in. We are going to talk about how to break into the TV biz with Courtney Harvey. She's a producer at E! News and the host of The Trend LA, and Alex Butler, who is a host of My Carolina Today. So excited there. I met both of them through Periscope, and I love what you guys do on Periscope, and I would love to learn more about you guys, and same with my audience. They're super excited. So let's first, both of you, you can introduce yourself a little bit and tell basically how you got started in the TV industry. So we could start, Courtney, you could start.
Okay, I'm just tweeting this real quick. Post tweet, watch now. Perfect. Then we could blast it to everybody. Hello, friends. I'm Courtney. I live in Los Angeles. I work for E! News International. And I'll tell you what I do now, and then I'll tell you how I got there. So basically right now I produce basically the European version of E! News, and it's basically the same thing that you see in the US on E! News, but we reproduce it and put French over it and German and Polish so that the European audience can understand it. And we cut it down to about a 12-minute show. And I've been there yesterday exactly 5 years. Well, in LA, exactly 5 years. So I think I was telling you guys the other day it was an anniversary for me, so it's kind of exciting. 5 years is a little milestone, I guess, you know, whatever. So I started, I fell in love with the news business basically when I was 14 years old. I did a job shadow at a news station. All of our freshman class had to go on a job shadow, and I ended up with this great woman who just took me under her wing and taught me everything, and I just fell in love with it that day. And after that job shadow, I was like, okay, I'm in. What can I do? What else can I do? How can I do more? And she's like, well, you can come in and job shadow more, but you're too young. You're 14. You're too young to do an internship. And so basically for a couple years, I went in as much as I could, and I learned everything I could learn about the news business. And then finally, my senior year of high school, I got an internship there because it was official. And then I went to college for it. I graduated in communications, broadcast news. And then right after that, I went back to work for that same TV station in my hometown where I grew up, the one like I was in love with. And that was my first reporter anchor position right out of college. So I did that for a little bit. I anchored on the weekends. I did weather. I was a reporter, and that's where you really like grind. Alex knows, it's like a one-man band. It's a tough business. It's very stressful. You have a lot of weight on your shoulders, a lot of deadlines. And then after my contract was up there, I decided to move to Arizona, and I kind of got into the video production side of the business. And I worked for a smaller company. We produced web videos, commercials, all kinds of stuff. And so I did a little hosting there. I also did a little project coordination. And then the way I got to E! was that one of my girlfriends from college worked there, and she was ready to move back to Washington State. And she knew I wanted to get to LA to work at E! And she's like, well, I'm moving. If you want my position, apply for it now. And like, it was the combination of who you know and timing, and everything worked out. And I got the job and moved over. And that was 5 years ago. So that's my TV story.
There's a lot of things going on face. Am I echoing to you guys?
A little bit.
Yeah. Okay, let me refresh that.
I'm gonna do the same thing because I hear next to
Yeah, anytime there's something wrong. Yeah, it's echoing again.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's still so much echo.
So,
Alex, yeah, go
I'm
ahead.
gonna give the abridged version because, like, the abridged version is I was 14. I decided to work in TV, kind of like Courtney did, and then I got my first like little job. I won a broadcasting competition for NBC Miami, and so And when I won the competition, I was 14 because a teacher of mine interviewed me and was like, yeah, if that's what you want to do. And then entered me into the contest. So I got entered in, I won. And then after that, I was like, I know this is what I want to do with my life. And so when I went to college, I applied to the University of Florida and I went in for TV news broadcasting. After that, I was a radio host for a little while I was in college. Then I was like, I want to move to LA. My mom drove up and wrote me a check for $6,000 and was like, look, if you want to do this, this is the only amount of money I'm going to give you. And if you fail, you can always come home. But this is it. Like, this is all the money you get. Good luck. And so I went out there and I did that. And when I got to LA, I worked out in LA and I did like some freelance work for a couple of the entertainment shows, but I realized they were never going to hire me full time because I didn't really have experience on TV. So it was like they would let me fill in and do things, but it was like I felt like if I didn't come with a resume, it was like, well, everybody wants to be on TV. There's all these like entertainment reporters and they all want to do it, or there were models that wanted to be entertainment hosts. So if you're in here and you want to be an entertainment reporter, you should move to LA and try to do it. But the competition is thick because there are a lot of people who are not talented that are just pretty who want to work in television, and no offense to those people, but that's your competition because sometimes those people are going to get hired just because they're pretty and they might not actually have personality, but they just have good looks. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that, but it exists. And there's a lot of people, a lot of competition when you move to LA and try that. So I did it for a little while. I got some good opportunities. And then I decided I got an opportunity to host, to report in Texas. And so I moved to Texas. I worked out there as a TV news reporter, kind of the way Courtney did, one-man banding. And then I moved, I got my second job after that in Fort Myers, Florida, where I was a feature reporter on the morning show. And then after that, I moved to Raleigh and I got a hosting job. But if this is about how to get into TV for people who actually want to know that, I really think a lot of it just comes, it's a who you know business. It comes with perseverance. And a lot of it is kind of like, it's sort of like being an actor. In order to be an actor, you have to have a SAG card. And in order to get a SAG card, you have to be in a movie. Well, you can't be in a movie without a SAG card, and you can't get a SAG card without being in a movie. So it's kind of a catch-22. And if you want to work in television, I feel like it's like you have to get yourself on TV, but you can't get on TV without a TV job. So in a lot of ways, it's like you have to tape yourself. And I think today, in this day and age, Alexa, you know this because you put yourself on YouTube, and also Courtney, nowadays it's a lot different than when I first started. When I first started, you couldn't just be on YouTube and then get a full-time job hosting. Now you can be on YouTube, put your own show on there, and actually turn that into a full-time job. And there's a lot of competition out there, but there's a lot more opportunities, I think, to become a host or to become a broadcaster than there were when I started. And Courtney knows that firsthand. So I think that opens a lot of doors.
Yeah, definitely. I always say that, like, you can't wait for your dreams to come to you. You have to go and chase them. And even both of you did that. And now it's much easier with television, at least because of all of these different platforms that you have to go and make it happen for yourself. So if you really want to achieve what you want to achieve. So both of you guys have amazing journeys into television. What's your goal? Like, what's the next goal that you're working towards? Either of you can.
Well, mine is to actually get on TV. So I've been on TV before, but I kind of rerouted and got into the other side of the camera, side of producing. And so I'm ready to get back on camera. And my way of doing that is sort of through the YouTube. And I know, and it's changed also since I got, Alex and I are about the same age. So we've seen it change.
Yeah.
The ways that people get on TV. And I'm not necessarily looking to be like a news anchor again. I'm looking to be some sort of host or a TV show host or an entertainment reporter, something that I enjoy a little bit more than anchoring like PM news. Yeah, like car wrecks and murders. It's a little bit different than entertainment news. So, which is what I enjoy a little bit more. So I'd like to do that. And basically, you in LA, you need like an agent or you need a bomb reel. And so what I'm working on right now is getting that reel together. And that takes a lot of work, shooting and producing your own stuff. And so I basically had to create my own show, and that's what I created the Trend LA for. And you can see it in my handle up there, Court the Trend LA. And that's kind of been my little baby and my way of creating content, getting back in front of the camera, practicing again because it's been a few years, and getting exposure and putting my name out there. And then when I'm ready to put a fantastic reel together and present it to an agent who can help me get a job, then I'll have stuff that's not 10 years old.
Right. And I think I want to say to people that, like, there's lots of different roads into television. It used to be like you go to school for TV news broadcasting, you come out with a reel from college, you apply to a very small market. And when I say that, I mean like Honoke, Texas, or like middle of nowhere, Idaho, or like bottom of the food chain, Utah. Some little town in the middle of nowhere. You start there where you make your mistakes and then you work your way up. Now, I think nowadays it's like if you wake up and you're 30 and you're like, I want to be a TV host, and you haven't been on television, you can still make it happen. Whereas I feel like it used to be where you couldn't do that. You couldn't just wake up and say, I want to be a TV host unless you knew somebody who was going to open a door for you because it's a who you know business. But now it's like if somebody, it's kind of like even on Periscope, like there's been like news directors that have watched me on Periscope that have like messaged me being like, oh, what network do you work at? And like, it's all about networking, I think. And I think that's why Periscope is so huge, Alexa, because now, you know, it's just opened a world of doors for people that like, you know, now you're getting that exposure to the news director that could hire you because now he sees you and you're being seen on a much larger scale. Like it used to be you live in the middle of nowhere, Utah, or middle of nowhere, Florida, where I lived, and you have to find the news director so that you can make him see you. But now it's like, now you can be seen. You can put yourself out there in a much bigger way.
Yeah, definitely. Quick on the comments. Sherry said, I want to be on SNL. Well, Sherry, you can definitely do it. Keep on going. And Alex, you inspired Joel to keep going. So that's amazing that you do that. Go ahead.
I was going to say, you know, I think it sounds like it's really easy when I say it all and I sum it up. But if I'm being totally honest, it was not an easy road. You know, like I didn't just wake up and be like, oh, I want to be a TV host and all these opportunities just fell in my lap. Like I did have to email for like 3 weeks every single news director across the state and ask them to give me a job as a news reporter when I was like, screw it, I think I'm going to do that. And then after I got that job, I did have to email 100 news directors to try to get them to hire me as a feature reporter. And then I finally got that job. And then to become a TV host, I took 3 months off and didn't work as I looked for a job to try to get the hosting job that I wanted because I kept getting job offers for things I didn't actually want to do. And then I was like, no, I'm going to hold out for the job I want. And I just held out and I ended up getting a hosting job. But I did serve tables at the Cheesecake Factory, which I always say in my Periscopes. And people are like, oh my God, you're a TV host. I'm like, listen, I served tables at the Cheesecake Factory and cried myself to sleep like 5 nights a week for like an entire year while I lived in LA and was like, I'm never going to make it in television. I'll never be a TV host. And I was waiting for like Linda the Good Witch to come down with a bubble and show me my future and tell me that I was going to be a TV host. And then it happened. You know what I mean? But it didn't happen by magic. Like I worked really, really hard. And so I want people to know that because I think a lot of times people think like, oh, like you were just in the right place at the right time and it just happened. Like, no, like I moved to LA in 2007 and I'm a TV host in 2015. You know what I mean? So
Right.
it wasn't overnight.
Yeah, I think there's a big misconception on overnight successes also. It looks like an overnight success because that's finally when we see that person or when all of a sudden they rise to fame or rise to success. But that was like 10 years in the making behind the scenes. People don't see that. So everything that's worth something is going to be hard work. And that's why it's the people that have that motivation and that persistence and that belief. That's the people that actually get there. You know,
Right.
And I'm sure that you still have goals that you're working towards to keep on going in TV, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I feel like also I've seen a change in maybe 10 years ago, or I mean, forever. Journalists have been kind of supposed to be a little unbiased and neutral when reporting. But then I've also seen this shift in like, if you want to be a TV host, you have to have a personality and have opinions. Right. And so there's like, if you want to be a news anchor, you know, be level and it's like this dichotomy. So over here, they kind of stress, build up your personality, build up your presence, be like, have an opinion, because like, if you want to get hired on someplace like The View, do you want to be the one that's like super conservative, or do you want to be the liberal, or do you want to be the fun and spunky one? They like want to see personality. Whereas before it was like, you could you could almost get away with like being pretty and like a talking head and like being very neutral. And if you could read a teleprompter, like
You're in.
you were good. Not that it's that easy to get into TV, but I feel like there's this shift of like really building up like a personality to go along with the name and the face.
Yes,
One of my Periscope followers before this, I was asking them questions about this topic, and someone asked, is it more important about what you know or what you look like?
I think it's a 50-50 thing, because I know it, at least in with TV jobs where I am, it's like, you know, it's either they're looking for a guy or a girl. They're looking for someone who's black. They're looking for someone who's white. They're looking for a blonde. They're looking, you know, like even at my TV station, it's like if they're hiring a guy and a girl, or there's a girl on the desk, then they need a guy. You know what I mean? So that means it's a guy's position. But if she's white, maybe they want to keep, you know, the mix up and have a black co-anchor. So a lot of it sometimes I think comes down to, you know, looks a little bit, because I think it matters, because they want to have a diverse group. So sometimes they're like, okay, we already have a blonde, we don't need another one, you know, or we already have a brunette, we don't need another brunette. But I do think, especially in the entertainment industry, I think it can be very shallow, but I think it's changed a lot. You've seen a bigger, I think it's changed a lot in the last like 5 years. Courtney could speak more to that though.
Definitely. On which part? The like whether it has to do with looks or with brains,
well,
or
just that there's more people. I think now you're getting more of a variety of looks in entertainment television than there used to be. It used to be like, you must look like a supermodel and be anorexically thin. And now I think that has broadened a lot. You see a lot of different looks.
Yeah, definitely. And the thing is, like, if you've got the personality and like the brains, like they can make you look good.
Right.
You'll be fine. They've got stylists. They can like make you up, do your hair. Like you'll be fine. If you can bring it like on camera, you're good to go.
I agree with that. And I do think that if you're somebody that wants to work in TV, there's a lot more outlets. But that's what I love about Periscope, Alexa and Courtney. I think it is, when I tell everybody all the time, I'm like, listen, on Periscope, like network. Because I mean, I have met people who work for CBS, who work for CNN. I met a guy who's a photographer at CNN. And, you know, as much as it's what you bring to the table, it's also who you know, because when an opportunity comes up, if I email J. Michael at CNN, who I met on Periscope, and I'm like, hey, my contract's up in a year. If you see something open up, let me know. You know, he might forward my stuff on, and I wouldn't have known him if not for Periscope.
Right. So HuffPost Live came into one of my streams and was like, we love what you're doing. And I'm like, I want to be on your show. So,
right.
Yeah, definitely. Someone asked me, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I'm on Periscope right now, and they're asking me about age factor. Vinny is asking about age factor. Is it too late for him? 49. And I'd say there is a bit of ageism in Hollywood.
I think men can get away with it, though.
That's true. Men, the ageism I've heard of and seen has to do with women, and I think that that it is like even at they seem to be going a little bit younger with the new talent that they're hiring. But yeah, men can probably get away with it easier.
And my other big advice thing I was going to say is, you know, sometimes you have to work your way up, but I think a lot of times in the TV industry, sometimes, you know, you get branded in a certain place. Like sometimes like I know in my TV station, you know, like if you're a producer and you want to be a reporter, it's a lot harder to get that job unless you know somebody who's willing to give you that opportunity. But sometimes you get branded in a position and you have to prove that you're not just what the job is that they've given you. And so like I know at my station, you know, like when people want to be reporters and stuff, they have to go through a lot more to try to get that opportunity. And so I always tell people, like, don't settle. You know, my biggest advice in the world is don't settle. You know, if you're not doing what you love to do, sometimes you have to do things you don't want to do. But I think a lot of times people get complacent in that. And I always tell people, like, to, you know, don't ever give up. Like when I was working at the Cheesecake Factory and I wasn't working in TV, every single night when I got home, I emailed somebody who I thought could give me an opportunity. And it didn't always work out, and I didn't always get an answer back. But I firmly believe that, like, if you're aggressive, that opportunities will present themselves, but it depends on where your focus is. You know, when my focus was on my boyfriend, I wasn't getting opportunities. When my focus was on my job, the opportunities were there. So I think that has
100% agree
yeah,
with that.
definitely.
Once you change.
Yeah, well, where you put your focus is what you put your energy to manifest to come true. And also,
I love the way you say that, Alexa. Thank you. I'm like, wherever you focus, don't focus on your boyfriend. She's like, manifest.
Focus your energy on what you want to come true. But another thing is is that I wanted to ask you guys, how did you gain that confidence? Because you said it was about not settling for. I see so many people that settle for less than their fullest potential just because they don't believe that they're able to accomplish that. So where did you guys get that confidence? And were there any obstacles, Alex, you can start. Were there any obstacles that you had to overcome, like of someone turning you down maybe from an outer appearance or something that kind of like put down your confidence and how you got it?
When I first moved to LA, I had an agent with Abrams Artist Agency, and I went in for an audition for E. And I would dream to like work for E my whole life. Since I was like a kid, I was like, oh my God, I just want to work for E. This would be so cool. But I never thought that I had the right, look for it. I remember getting dressed to like go to my E audition, and like, I don't even know, looking back, I'm like, what the hell was I wearing? That was a mistake. But I wore something ridiculous. And I'll tell you this, like, I didn't have long hair, and like, I didn't have extensions, and like, I didn't have my look together. And it mattered because when I went in for my audition, I remember my agent called me afterwards and he was like, Alex, they loved you. They loved your delivery. They thought your personality was great, but they just don't think your look is right for E. And this was when I was like, this was like 7 years ago. I was like probably 15 pounds heavier. My hair was this short. Okay. And I was cute, but I didn't have it going on. You know what I mean? I didn't have it going on. And E wants you to have it going on. They want you to come with a personality, but they also want you to have it going on. And you don't have to be skinny to have it going on, but you got to have the look together. And I really didn't have a look. I don't even think I was getting my eyebrows waxed at that time. Like, I don't even know what was going on with me. But anyway, I remember feeling really down about it. And that was a big obstacle for me because I remember I started working out at like Barry's boot camp because I was like, holy crap, like I need to lose weight. Like I need extensions. And like, I discovered all these things about like beautifying, but I realized that like, it wasn't really that. It was just that I had a newfound confidence when I felt good about how I looked. And I think that when you feel good about you come across more confident on camera, when confidence is high. And so when suddenly it was like, oh my gosh, like I have extensions. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so hot right now. Like, and I was like, oh my God, I was getting my makeup done. And like, I was getting my eyebrows waxed. And I was like, oh my God, what is waxing? Like, I mean, like, it was like I reached this level of like, I'm just saying, like, and now I get compliments all the time. They're like, eyebrows on fleek. And I'm like, you should have seen me in 2006. But anyway, the point of the story is just that I think when you feel good about you, it comes across in everything you do. And I think a lot of that self-confidence, I know for me, it came from my parents because even when I didn't have it together, I still felt really good about me. And I think I've always felt like I could do anything. And a lot of that comes from my mom and dad because my parents were since the time I was like, I think I could talk. My parents were always like, do whatever you want to do. If you want to be a movie star, go be a movie star. Whatever you want to do, you can do it. And I think a lot of where we end up and what we do with our lives starts like at home. And I think that if you're encouraged to do whatever you want in your life and people are always bringing you up, then the sky's the limit, But I think a lot of it just has to do with believing in yourself. And I feel like I always have been that way. I don't know how to teach that,
I like how you said once it wasn't so much about like morphing into the E-News look, but about finding, your own look and this own inner confidence. And that's what I say, like, I started a nonprofit, Hello Perfect, to help build self-esteem because of that reason and because of what society says perfection is and all of these things that cause us to have self-doubt. I don't believe it at all. But people will say like, then why do you wear lipstick? Then why do you wear makeup? And it's because it's just like, one, it's fun, but two, it's the same thing as like dress your best because you feel more confident. You walk with a kick in your step when you feel good. And I love how you said you did it for yourself, like the extensions, the eyebrow waxing.
I was like, what is this? Like, I was like, I had a new face.
But it was your face. That's the thing. When people get like plastic surgery or change to look like Jennifer Aniston or, Kim Kardashian, they're always going to strive and they're never going to be happy because they're striving to be someone that they're not. When you're doing it for yourself, it's like a completely different ballgame.
Yeah. I'm curious to know for you, Courtney, like, do you deal with like, cause I know how it is in LA, like, you know, it's like everybody's walking around and they're like amazingly fit and their hair is amazing. And like half of them don't work because their husbands are filthy rich. And like, I'm jealous of their life on a daily basis, and everyone has a Range Rover and everyone's drinking green and everyone's going to spinning and no one's eating anything but the appetizers. I get it. But what I want to know is Courtney's like, that's all true.
Yeah.
But and that's okay. But do you feel like you do you get to a point where you feel like you don't feel like you have to like compare with what's around you, or do you feel like that's with everybody there, like you can't help it?
So you see all of that, but you also see everyone else who is hustling to like do what they want to do and make their dreams come true. And I feel like I've surrounded myself with great people who are all about the hustle. They're all about like kicking ass and making something of themselves. Everyone here like has big dreams. And, you know, you see the frilly people with like tons of money, and the Lisa Vanderpumps that I saw the other night with tons of money, and you know, and those are things that we can all maybe aspire to if you want that kind of lifestyle. But instead of focusing on like, oh, these people drive Range Rovers and their lips are this big and they're freaking gorgeous, I think I am more focused on being a part of like being the best me and like being a part of the hustle and like proving to myself that I can make something happen that I want. If I want it bad enough, I can make it happen. And it's all about like the manifesting that you talk about, Alexa. Like I'm all about like
blocking,
putting your mind to it and the thoughts. And I think part of it has to do with like, if you're surrounding yourself with people with the same mindset of like the hustle is what you got to do. I think that keeps me kind of focused and driven. Yeah. And I've met a lot of people who are super famous and who are fabulous and very successful, who are not those things. They're not perfectly beautiful and like supermodel types. They're like crazy successful, and it's because of their hustle and their personality and the fact that they worked their tails off until they like got to where they wanted to be. So I feel like surrounding myself with those types of people too keeps me motivated, and they're like, why not you? Why not you? Why shouldn't it be you? Like, give me a good reason. I'm like, you're right. I know. Why not me? Right. Why shouldn't it be me?
That's such a good, you know what? I think everybody should live that thought. Why not me? And I think that's such a good thing to say, like, why not you? You know what I mean? Like, there's really no reason why. And I do think like there are some people who are privileged and they're given opportunities just because they're the children of people who are famous, or those doors are open for them automatically. But I think one of the biggest mistakes I made when I first moved to LA was I compared a lot. You know, when I first moved up there, I was like, oh my God, well, my parents aren't celebrities. Like I don't know anyone who can open that door for me. And I felt like I, in order to be successful, I had to be something that I wasn't. And I thought like I had to be the child of someone famous. I had to be blonde. I had to have a different look, or, you know, and so I think realizing like when I stopped comparing, and I think a lot of that came with maturing, you know, like I think a lot of maturity came for me when I lived in LA, you know, like first I went through this like comparing stage, and then I was like, and then I kind of like grew up, you know, and I think once I stopped comparing, I started realizing what the value was in just being me. And I think that's when I became successful. And that's why I just said other people, don't compare.
Comparison is like, will kill you.
It's my favorite quote. Comparison is the thief of joy. Because it really is. It just sucks everything out of you. And the thing is, comparison is a nonstop ripple effect. It's like I'm comparing myself to Courtney, and then Courtney's comparing herself to Alex, and then Alex is comparing herself to someone else, and it doesn't stop. So if you continue to focus on what other people are doing in a way that puts you down, it's going to be very, very difficult to reach that point of success. Versus I change that perspective, and I talk about this all the time. Look at the people that are already there as motivation, like they did it, which means that it's possible. Okay, you can do it too. Same thing as like what blows my mind is to think about everything that's around you, including Blab, including Paris, everything, including a pen, was created by a human that's no smarter than you.
Right.
You think about that. It's just incredible to show that like we have so much potential if we give ourselves the credit that we are able to accomplish.
And I think that's why one of the things I say a lot, and I want to also see if it's okay with you, Alexa, if we can get Irina in here. She's a TV host in Serbia.
Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. And I told her about the Blab last night. She's like, it's going to be 3 a.m, but I want to be on. So I was like, get on.
Because like, I mean, another thing, like when would we have ever met Irina? She's a TV host in Serbia. I would have never met her in this life.
Really cool. You know? Yeah.
But I always say in my Periscope, I think the hard thing about today is that I think we live in a world that's a very keeping up with the Joneses place. Everybody, you're on Facebook. Everybody has an amazing wedding. Everybody's getting married. Everybody's this. Everybody, so it's like it used to be where like you find out what everybody's doing at the reunion, but now it's like you're finding out people's daily lives. And I think people put their best face on forward. Like when I'm crying because me and my boyfriend got in a fight today, I'm not on Periscope. You know what I mean? Some people are like, "Oh my God, you're always happy." Like, no, I have bad moments where like I'm like, "Oh my God, I hate you. Please move out."
Like a normal human.
Yeah. And I think that people forget that because we're all like in this world where we watch each other on Facebook or on Periscope and all these things, and you see everybody's best moments that people are like, oh my God, like look at Courtney Harvey, her amazing life. Like she's in LA, or look at Alex, she hosts a TV show, but like I have the same kinds of struggles. You know what I mean? So that's all. But Irina's here.
Hi, Irina.
Yay. Oh no, we can't hear you. Oh wait, is your volume?
The volume's on. Something might be up on hers.
Sometimes it's the settings. Like you have to go work on your settings, or try some headphones and a microphone. Maybe that'll help.
Well,
I don't know.
Okay.
Oh no, we don't hear her. I'm so sad right now. I think she has to accept the mic. She has to
accept the mic when you come in.
And the top, so close out and then try to come back in again. And there should be a thing at the top of the screen. At the top of the screen, it should say like, do you want to accept the mic and accept the audio? And it should work. But I don't know, because on my boyfriend's computer, I tried to get on here and talk and it didn't work. But on my computer, it does work. So sometimes that.
Yeah, it was first time, but now I cannot see that.
We hear you.
Oh, yeah.
We hear you. Yeah.
Thank you for accepting me here, and I really enjoyed your conversation. And actually, I realized that we are the same, and it's the same in America, it's the same in Serbia. And when you're a TV host, everybody thinks that it was easy way, and you just have to be beautiful or you have good personality, and that's it. And nobody doesn't know that maybe you have 10 years experience, hardworking, and there is no free lunch. And you were talking about new generations, and I just met a girl a few days ago, and she wants to be a TV host, she wants to be a TV reporter, and she's studying to be a journalist. And I asked, okay, what do you want to report about? And she was like, well, I'm not good in writing, I just want to be on camera. And I couldn't say, well, honey, you really had to know to do something. You cannot be just on camera, be beautiful. And it's easy now, as you said, we have Periscope, we have YouTube, we have everything, but still you need to know something about some topics you want to report about or hosting about. You cannot just be on camera, and you cannot just read what other people write you to read.
Right. When I was a reporter, it's like you literally, besides having to know a little bit about a lot of topics, you also have to be a good writer. You have to know how to edit. You have to know how to work a camera. You have to know how to interview people. You have to know how to investigate stories. You have to learn how to put all of those pieces together. You have to be on a deadline every day. If you're not on live at 5, then you're screwed, So
I'm loving when Alex was talking about beauty issues. I never had beauty issues because I was a ballet dancer, so I was fit all my life. I know how to look good on camera. I didn't have that problem, and maybe that is the reason. Even my colleagues, some colleagues, didn't know how hard had I worked for be a TV host and be a TV reporter. Even some colleagues, I think they still think that it was easy way for me.
Oh, like you just got in because you were pretty.
Yeah, but I am a TV reporter. I studied journalism. I had my final exam on TV reporting. I made a documentary by myself on my for my final exam. I am MMJ. When I've started to be a
They have MMJs in Serbia?
Well, actually, we have just 5 MMJs in my
But they have MMJs? Like, that's a thing there? My mind is blown.
Yeah, well, I was in Germany. In the
an MMJ is a multimedia journalist. It's somebody who, like, they do all the work themselves. So there's no photographer. You film everything yourself. You edit yourself.
Edit everything. You do everything by yourself. So even when I started to host morning show, I had days when one day I remember I finished my morning show at 9 a.m. and then I gone on a flight and went to Germany on a business trip to work as an MMJ on a technology fair. And I don't know anything about technology. So I'm just MMJ, and it's cheaper for my company to send me alone. And my colleagues and most of people doesn't know that.
Do you feel like looks matters a lot to get a job in Serbia? Like if you want to be on TV, like they care a lot about what you look like?
Well, if you want to be a TV host, yes, it's not maybe the most important, but it is important to look good on camera. Yeah, it is. But I'm happy because my TV station has a trend in the last year that TV host has to be a reporter. You need to know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You can't just be a beautiful face.
Yeah. Will they hire people in America? Can I come?
Yay!
What if I move to Serbia? I don't think Nate would go.
Yeah, we would love
No, you're moving to LA. You're moving to LA.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, you should come to LA.
Stephen Colbert just wrote an article for Glamour magazine about women in television, specifically in late night talk shows, how there's, not a lot of women in late night talk shows. And we could talk, Alex and Courtney could talk obviously in the US and Irina in Serbia. What is like the gender gap do you see in talk shows in television specifically? Do you think it's getting better or whatnot?
Yeah, we have mostly women on talk show and news program, and we have actually, I think, just literally 3 TV hosts, men. One is my partner in a.
Is that daytime though?
What?
Is that daytime or nighttime?
Yeah, daytime.
What about nighttime?
We have 2 guys for a news program, Central Daily News, and we have my partner in a morning program. And
what about like you guys have late night?
Yeah, okay, we have 5. Sorry, we have 5. But we are the biggest TV station in Serbia. Yeah, and we have 2 presenters and we have some guys for a sports program. But girls, we are the biggest TV station in Serbia. We have just in a newsroom for news program, we have around 50 people, 50 reporters.
Wow.
And we have 40 reporters just for the morning show.
That's a lot.
50 reporters. Yeah, holy cow.
It is really big. We are a national broadcast. We are a public service. So
they're kind of like the CNN for Serbia.
Yeah. We have, I think, 4,000 people.
Wow.
In our company. Yeah.
I know, like in the U.S., Chelsea Handler was one of the women that started late night talk shows, and I would love to see more comedians, like women comedians in late night.
I'm kind of surprised that Chelsea lately didn't end up getting like a late night talk show or something.
No, I'm so surprised. I love that show.
Yeah, she didn't want it.
Right.
She didn't want to compete with the guys.
Yeah.
And she didn't want to be in that category. And it would have been interesting because it's so male dominated, but he has been really good about like being hard-headed and competing with the men, and she's tough and she can hold her own.
Yeah.
But she just didn't want it. She wanted to go into a different direction, and I think that's sad because
she could have been the staple.
Right.
Yeah, she did. And she was like one of the main female late night talk show hosts. I think Joan Rivers years ago briefly like was a late night talk show, or maybe she filled in for forget who it is. But yeah, I think that's missing. But you know, it also kind of like I don't know, it works. Like people are watching the guys. It would just be nice. And I think the females stay more daytime talk show.
Maybe it's about prejudice because people want to see. I think people don't want to see women being funny and fooling around. They maybe expect that we need to be feminine and serious and I don't know. Just,
nurturing and daytime and the guys are ornery at night, and that's why Chelsea was so good because she kind of almost had like that male dominant, and she was like an alpha and she was tough and she was a tough cookie just like Joan Rivers was. But I agree, it's kind of the gender perception. I guess
I was gonna say I really think off topic but on topic, I really think in television, you know, you never stop working for something else unless I guess you reach whatever your dream is, you know? But I think, like, I know for me, like, I still feel like I felt when I left and I moved to LA, only I have more experience under my belt, but I still feel like that feeling of, like, I still want that other job that I really want. And I don't even know what that job is.
Exactly.
I just know it puts me in a big house in Malibu. As long as I wake up one day, my dream is that I wake up one day, someone calls me to tell me that I'm late for my show and that I need to get there, and I wake up and I tell my house, windows open, and all I see is glass and ocean.
It's the same thing. When somebody asks me, what is your next plan? I always say, I don't have a plan. I didn't have a plan, never, because if I had a plan, I really think that my dream, my plan would never be as good as my job is actually right now. It's just about hard working. I love my job, and I was in a editing room till 2 a.m. When I was a TV reporter in my show where I started, and I've done a job as a MMJ, and I'm still doing that. And you just have to be passionate about that, and big things will come eventually. You cannot just be awesome and wait somebody to discover you.
You have to be a go-getter. You have to go after it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't follow your dreams.
Like I still, even though I have a job, I mean, secret, but like I still email news directors and I'm like, listen, my contract will be up in a year. Are there opportunities? What's going to be open? Is someone leaving? Like I'm annoying and I have a job. You know what I mean? But like, it's like you have to go after it. You have to keep bothering people. You know, my first internship I ever got in TV, I got because I read the credits on the TV going by, and it was like No Business Tonight and CNN, and I saw the producer's name at the bottom, and I was like, I'm just going to call him, and I called CNN, and I was like, hi, I'd like to speak with Peter Coleman, and they were like, Peter Coleman, they're like, hold on 1 second. And I was like, oh, I'm calling from NBC News affiliate, blah, blah, blah. I just made up something. And I left him a message, and it was his voicemail. I said, hi, Peter. My name is Alex. I go to high school, here, whatever, college. And I was like, this is where I'm going to college, and I really want an internship. This is what I wanted to do my whole life, and I want to work in entertainment and TV. And I know that if I send my resume in, it's just going to end up in this giant pile, and no one's ever going to see it because I'm not anyone's cousin. And so I was just wondering if you could pass my stuff along, or maybe there's an opportunity you can call me back. And he called me back the next day, and he said, never in my entire career have I ever had anybody call me and ask me for an internship like that. I would be happy to pass your name along. And I got it.
Oh, that's awesome.
You know, but I'm just saying, like, sometimes I do believe to be successful in a business that most people are not successful in, or that is difficult to be successful in, you have to go outside the lines. You know, you can't do the typical, like, send in your resume, email to info@desk.edu. Like, it's not going to happen. You have to go sometimes a little bit around what the norm is.
Yeah, but Bill, I think you're lucky. Maybe you're living in America because you have so much opportunities. I don't have opportunities. Our market is really, really, really closed, really small. We have just 5 TV stations which are national broadcasters. My TV station is the best one. And
Okay, so you hit the jackpot.
Yay!
So then you did it.
And we get
You're like our version is like for me, that version is like CNN. For Courtney, it's E. You know what I mean? It's like whatever like for you, like the top place is where you are.
Yeah, but if maybe sometime I want to move somewhere, maybe in Canada, where my boyfriend is
Oh
right
yeah,
now.
well, your boyfriend is in Canada.
Yeah.
Boyfriend's in Canada.
I think I wouldn't be able to work because I'm a foreigner, and I've checked. It's a little market in Vancouver.
And it's hard because if you don't speak like the people from there, then they feel like their viewers won't watch you.
Yeah.
It's the same thing like for me. Like when I first, like today I was getting my nails done. I was asking this lady about a Range Rover she had outside because in my dreams I want to buy one. And this is off topic, but it has to do with what she's talking about. So I went inside and I said, excuse me, who owns the Range Rover outside? And I start talking to this lady. And she starts talking to me about a Range Rover. And I'm like, this is my dream car. I'm like, is it good to you? Blah, blah, blah. And then she goes, oh, where do you work? Do you have a good job? Like, because you need to have a good job to afford a Range Rover. Thanks. And then she goes, oh, so you host My Carolina Today? And I go, yeah. She's like, you don't sound like you're from here. And I was like, oh, do you need to be from here to host My Carolina Today? She's like, well, it's just interesting that they hired a non-Carolina girl for My Carolina Today. And I was like, ew. But that's the way people think. It's like if you live in Nashville and you're on TV and you have the Nashville accent, people are more prone to watch you. And like she was surprised I was hosting My Carolina Today and I'm from New York. Like she might as well have said,
You can imagine how it could be for me. I'm from Serbia. Where is Serbia?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So it is easier to get jobs where you're from. I mean, it is true.
Yeah. So
that's really interesting. Yeah. I mean, like when Alex was talking about you need to like do different things to get noticed. A lot of people think that like a resume just in the mail and sending email will do it, and it's just like it's not that hard to pick up the phone and just step out of your comfort zone for 5 minutes to see if you can get through. Like also when I was applying for internships in New York City, I couldn't get through to Birchbox. You guys know what Birchbox is? Yeah. Okay. So I wanted to work there and I couldn't get through to them. So what I did is I had a Birchbox and I redid the entire box to be my brand. And inside the box, I put different items that represented me, like a hair tie that said, I'm really into beauty, but I'm not afraid to tie my hair back and get the work done.
Oh my God, you did this? I love it.
I did this, yes. And I did like all these different things that represented me in items. And then I shipped it to them. And each item had a card with it that like said what it was about. And I got a call the next day back from them because I was noticed like nobody's ever done that. I didn't end up taking the internship. It just wasn't right for me. But it just shows like I got noticed easily. I did another thing for social media. Yeah, exactly, to stand out. I did another thing for a social media company. It was called Carrot Creative. So it was during Easter time that I was applying, and I got a giant carrot chocolate bar. And on the back, I made up new ingredients, and the ingredients defined who I was. It was like my ingredients for my personal brand and my work ethic. I got a call back the next day after they received it. So it's just like thinking outside the box to get what you really want in life. It's not as hard as people think it is. It's just about, being able to see it differently and not being afraid to step out of your comfort zone and just, going to really knock on people's doors.
Right.
But
Like what I'm like Courtney. Oh, I can't hear you.
I wanted to say you will be able to think out of the box just if you're passionate, because if you really want to do that, you will get some ideas. And
right.
If you just want to be successful and you don't know actually what you're doing, you can't do anything.
Courtney, I think you need to go to whoever hires at E. You need to go in there, march in there, and tell them Alex Butler sent you, and they need to put you on TV, and that's the end of it.
Maybe I will tomorrow.
Do you know who it is that hires for that at E? Like who the person is that puts people on TV?
Yes and no. I've met some of the talent recruiters, and I've talked to them briefly, like email and over the phone. And this was a while ago before I had even started the Trend LA. Right. And they're like, you're kind of weird about taking people in-house.
I know,
who
but that's the
aren't
thing that's so
out
annoying.
there. Yeah, who are out there currently on camera doing stuff or don't have an agent,
Right.
and they're like, okay, well, you can send us your stuff. And at the time, I'm like, okay, I have like a 10-year-old news reel. I can't send that in, so I need to get updated stuff. And so that's
and
why.
Once you get your updated stuff, you can prove that you've got the stuff to back it up.
Yeah, and then we'll see. Maybe they'll be like, "This is great," or like, "Hey, you're still not good enough." But
Well,
I'll
don't
keep.
say that. Don't say that.
No, I know. I'm just kidding. But like, if it's not right for them, it'll be right for somebody else.
Exactly.
You know? So
and
it's not.
Once you get your Court the Trend LA reel together, you'll get your agent, and then you'll have opportunities. Maybe you won't even want to work at it. There'll be bigger opportunities. Who knows?
Oh,
You know what I mean? And then you'll be like, why didn't we hire that girl when she was working downstairs? Who the fuck messed up?
oh, guys, I hate to jump off, but I have to run.
No, it's okay.
But
Thank you for joining my scope and thank you for inviting me on this lab.
Yeah, I know, Irina. I'm so glad that I caught her last night because I was like, you have to jump on this lab because like she's perfect for this.
You are perfect for it. I'm so glad we got to talk about this, and it's interesting because people always ask me about how I got into the industry, and it's always like I feel like I never include the part where I was crying at the Cheesecake Factory. So I'm glad I got to tell everyone.
You guys can continue this. I'm gonna jump off. I love you guys so much. You guys just
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Have
Love
some
you
fun.
so much for joining and sharing.
and I will see you guys soon. Yes.
Okay, Alexa, I gotta run too though because I gotta eat Nate's dinner. And if I don't eat it, he's gonna cry himself to sleep. So
It's okay.
I appreciate you.
All right.
Yeah.
I appreciate you too.
Thank you so much. Okay, I have to sleep. It's 4 a.m. in Serbia.
I know she has to sleep. Thank you to
and
everybody. If
I am
anybody
up for 12 hours.
questions, feel free to tweet me.
No, 24 hours.
Oh my God, go to sleep, Irina. But
Yeah.
feel free to tweet me if anybody has any other questions, or if you want to message me on Periscope anytime. Whatever you want to know, feel free to ask. And I love you,
Thank
Alexa.
guys for this. You're amazing, really.
I thank you guys so much.
Bye bye.
Bye. It was really nice meeting you.
Thank you, Alexa.
All right, well, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know we didn't get to your questions, and I apologize. They had to run. An hour flew by. But I will be having more interviews like this. If you know anybody that you'd like me to interview on different topics, different industries, please tweet me, Alexa Rose Carlin, and let me know because I will do my best to bring them on Blab and have these informative, valuable interviews to help you reach your goals and create a life that you love. What if we want to interview you, love, LaShanta said. Well, let me know. I'm definitely open to interviews. Just tweet me, Alexa Rose Carlin, and I will be on Blab whenever you need me to be interviewed and for you guys to know whatever you have questions about. Thank you, Magic. So again, don't forget to follow me on Blab and Twitter and Periscope, Alexa Rose Carlin as well. I will let you know when I schedule the next interview and what it will be about. Thanks so much. Have an amazing night or day or evening, wherever you are. Make it amazing. And I will see you again soon.